Thank you for joining us. I'm Keith Bodnarchuk, President and CEO of Cosa Resources. I'm joined by Andy Carmichael, our VP of Exploration, and we're here to talk to you about our exciting results at our Murphy Lake North joint venture project in the prolific Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan. We will be making some forward-looking statements, so I encourage you to review this. It is available on our website. So just a bit of background on Murphy Lake North joint venture. So it is owned 70% by Cosa Resources and 30% by Denison Mines. We recently completed this transaction in mid-January, and within 1 month, we had a drill on site, eager to really start advancing this project. So why all the hype around Murphy Lake North? Because it's sitting right next to the Hurricane deposit, really the highest grade indicated uranium resource in the world, one that our management team discovered and delineated during our time at ISO Energy in 2018. And so that's why we're excited to get there. We initially completed 4 holes for a total of about 1,700 meters on the Murphy Lake North project. Importantly, the 4th hole intersected significant sandstone alteration and structure. It remains open on both directions. This is a significant result, and because of this result, we left the drill on site to ensure a smooth startup when we head back there this summer, and we're very eager to head back there this summer. And I'll pass it off to Andy to really take you through these significant results and really the methodology behind how we try and advance this project and how we ultimately look to make a discovery on the Murphy Lake North project.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Keith. I think before we get into the results, I think we should add some context there. The gray rocks, the graphitic rocks, they're hosting a fault zone, and that fault zone in turn is controlling the locations of some alteration zones shown in blue. And within the alteration zone, one of them anyhow, there's this small body of uranium mineralization. And what I'm trying to show is that the scale of uranium mineralization is quite tiny compared to the prospective geology that controls it, that being the structures within graphitic rocks in the eastern Athabasca. And so it's really unlikely to just drill into mineralization on your first shot. And so to continue justifying exploration, you need to set increasing thresholds for success. And beyond that, you want to test those structures for alteration zones. All deposits have alteration zones around them in the Athabasca, but not all alteration zones host deposits. But once you found an alteration zone, you've improved your odds for success. Then you follow up the alteration zone, follow the vectors within it, and ideally make your way to discovery. Before we got drilling at Murphy North in the winter, I would score Murphy North at somewhere like category 0.5. We thought there were structures there. We believed the hurricane trend passed through the project. Some historical drilling, 1 hole, suggested there was some faulting, but it wasn't enough to be sure. And so we set out to establish number 1. Find the northern and southern edges of that trend, locate any prospective structures within it, and then get a better handle on its orientation so we can understand just how much strike length is contained by Murphy Lake North. And we think we met that objective pretty nicely. We intersected basement faults that are really similar to those that are underneath Hurricane. Good-looking cataclasites with strong graphite content, strong pyrite content. It's fundamentally the prospective Athabasca geology, on the eastern side at least. And so we're really pleased. We took Murphy Lake North to stage 1 already with our first program. But more than that, we found an alteration zone with hole 4 on the southern side of the hurricane trend. When looking at that in cross section, you can see Murphy Lake North went through quite a bit of sandstone, and then the bottom of the sandstone was quite altered. There's fairly strong alteration there, over nearly 80 meters, and it's cored by a zone of increased alteration and structure. And those are great signs. That's the classical setting you'd expect to see in prospective geology. I mean, that's what it looks like along strike of hurricane. And as I mentioned, the basement contained really nice looking graphitic and pyritic rocks and faults. So we're really interested to see if any of our samples come back with positive uranium geochem or pathfinder content, and that'll help us prioritize what to do with this alteration zone moving forward. Going back to plan view, I'd point out that the zone is on the south side of the hurricane trend, and that's great for us because by virtue of the orientation of the trend and its location within the project, the further south it is, the more strike length we gain. And so to have the best results beyond the southernmost drill hole that we completed is really encouraging. And we think it means there's up to 2 kilometers of strike length in the project, a long trend of this alteration zone. And compounding that is 2 kilometers to the northeast, Kerr 15, off property intersected some really strongly altered and structured sandstone. And so that suggests that this zone may extend at least 2 kilometers to the northeast. There's a reasonable probability of that. And that's a significantly sized alteration zone in the Athabasca. And at this point, it's worth noting that the hurricane zone, the bulk of that deposit, the hurricane deposit, is only 135 meters long. And so we think that with this first program, the Murphy Lake North project's been advanced from like a 0.5 to something like a 2.5 once we get our geochemical results back. And we think that's a significant advancement for just an initial drill program.
Thanks, Andy. And as you've probably seen recently, we closed financing. It was oversubscribed. We closed that at the end of February. Denison Mines participated, maintaining a 19% interest in the company. So our treasury is very healthy heading into the remainder of 2025 and into 2026. As Andy mentioned, we will be back drilling Murphy Lake North this summer. We're fully funded for that and beyond, and so we're extremely excited to get back there. And I encourage you guys to follow along for news flow as we prepare to head back and follow up these significant results at Murphy Lake North. Thank you very much for listening.